Little GMT 400 project I've been working on for the Green 96. Summer, got some downtime. This had been about the time last year I did that Raptor liner project. Of course, my wife and I teach and we have summers off, but my speedometer's always been off. Been bothering me, the 18 months I've owned it. So, they don't really make new air core motors anymore that go in the back of those. So my option was to take it apart and try to maybe put some food grade oil in the air core motors, so at least the YouTube videos say, and then recalibrate. But I figured if I was going to rip it apart, might as well put something different in it. Digging on people's memories here, this is a little bit different than what you would have seen back in the 90s, unless you wanted to fork over some money in 99 and 2000 for the Yukon Denali and then the first generation of the Cadillac Escalade. GM was a little rushed and caught off guard in 98 by Ford and Lincoln when the Navigator came out. Beat us to market for luxury full-size SUVs. So they basically took the Yukon, GMC Yukon and Chevy Tahoe, slapped it under the Cadillac nameplate, made it look fancy, and as well as the Denali version of the Yukon, and these clusters were in them. And what makes these different is these go to 120, whereas everything else from 95 to, I guess you can say 2000 for some of the holdover 3/4 ton GMT 400s, they go to 0 to 100. What makes this unique is it goes to 120, but last night when I threw it in the truck just to make sure all the gauges were going to work, and it was going to be backlit fine. Found out something interesting. Maybe I can catch it in the shade. Maybe I can't. Yeah, we can. Backlit kind of a blue, and I was under the impression they were backlit white, or whatever color your bulbs were. Well, once I did a little bit of digging on the Facebook forums and forums, GMT 400 forums, these were from the factory. You can see by the glue, not the glue or the diffuser or the gel, blue. And you can see where I've been scraping it off. I came across this technique on the GMT 400 page. I figured, well, I'll go for broke. If it works, great. If it doesn't, there are plenty of companies that make an aftermarket faceplate that I could go have made and bought. But I wanted something to, I have a vision, and what I want is white backlighting. Of course, if I have the incandescent bulbs, they'll have a hue of yellow, but I don't want the blue. I want white numerals, and get rid of that blue. So I've been working the blue diffuser gel off, or whatever y'all want to call it, razor blade, Q-tips, and obviously you can see the acetone in the background, just slowly working it off. As far as getting this calibrated, I have access to a GM Tech 2 scanner. I'm not really super worried about it, because the Tech 2 scanner will give us a reading get a voltage reading, we'll get an engine temp reading, that all will spit some data to the Tech 2. While we're parked in the driveway, we can get a pretty decent reading on the tach. It normally idles when it's up to temp about 650. We can fine tune that. The one that'll probably give us fits will be the speedo, but oil pressure gauge will hook a mechanical gauge up to the top end of the engine, and then fine tune the needle from there. And then what I plan to do here, of these 4, this one will be the bit, this one will be the kind of the most pain. The night before I want to do this, I'll run the truck to town, fill it up, bring it home, park it, and then the next morning, when I have me and another person here, then we'll pull the Tech 2, and this needle typically sits kind of on the edge of the, it always goes past the F in all these 90s GMT 400s. It kind of sits ever so slightly past full. So I have a pretty good idea of where that gauge will sit. That needle will sit when it's full. The needles will be, I'm going to sand them down. They're going to be painted kind of a red-orange, what they were from the factory. The one thing I may or may not do, just depends how brave I want to be in terms of, I've gotten lucky not ruining this faceplate yet. Try to maybe, this is, the UV has faded the orange here, here, there, and then over here in the tack, maybe some translucent paint and get that back. The E, the gas gauge, the volts, the temp, oil pressure doesn't scare me, but it's these little dots on the between 5 and 6 on the tack right here is what would worry me about getting paint on, not getting small enough tip of paint. But we'll see how brave I am. We'll see how dangerous I want to live. Should be a good project. If it turns out well, this video will make the YouTube channel. If it doesn't, well, no one will ever know. Have fun, bring masculinity back, and keep working on your trucks.